It's Tuesday, April 19th, and this is now on HNN.
More trouble for Ezra Miller. What we learned happened to the Flash star on the Big Island overnight.
The conflicts that might come up will be where I'm sitting next to somebody who's wearing a mask and I'm not.
In the wake of a judge's ruling, major airlines are making masks optional. I'm Naomi Ruckham with where masks are still required for travelers.
The mask mandate for public school classrooms will remain in place through this academic year, and some parents aren't happy about it.
We're absolutely furious.
These stories plus will take you to Shanghai, where people are fed up with a weeks-long COVID lockdown. Those details coming up on This Is Now.
New today, Ezra Miller, known for playing the Flash, was arrested for second-degree assault early this morning in an incident at a Pahoa home on the Big Island. It's the latest in a string of negative headlines involving the star. Hawaii Island police say Miller was taken into custody around 1:30 in the morning after the star allegedly became irate after being asked to leave an acquaintance's home and threw a chair at a woman. The 26-year-old victim reportedly had a half-inch cut on her forehead. Miller was arrested following a traffic stop on Highway 130.
And Miller is due back in court this afternoon for disorderly conduct charges related to a prior arrest in Hilo.
Yeah, and he was taken into custody regarding this latest incident, but was released pending further charges. Hey everyone, good to have Ashley back with us here in the H&N Digital Center. Let's get you live over to St. Louis. Yeah, I'm traveling there later this week.
Lucky. And most travelers can now leave their face mask at home. That's because yesterday a federal judge in Florida struck down the Biden administration's mask mandate for airplanes and public transit. Some passengers are elated, but others are hesitant. Naomi Ruckham has more.
Travelers at LaGuardia Airport had mixed reactions Tuesday to the end of the mask mandate.
I'm totally vaccinated. I don't feel the need to have to wear a mask anymore.
We will be wearing our masks today. It's too early to decide what to do.
Monday, a federal judge in Florida appointed by former President Trump ruled the CDC had overstepped its authority by requiring masks on aircraft and public transit. Some major carriers quickly pivoted to mask-optional policies, announcing the changes mid-flight.
We're ready to give them up. So thank you and happy Unmasking Day.
Refusal to wear masks was at the root of thousands of disruptions on planes during the pandemic.
The conflicts that might come up will be where I'm sitting next to somebody who's wearing a mask and I'm not, and them asking me to wear one because I'm sitting next to them. We may have a few more fights to deal with before this is all over.
The ruling leaves it up to airlines, airports, and mass transit systems to make their own decisions about mask requirements. Here at LaGuardia, masks are still required in the terminal. Uber ended its mask policy for drivers and riders, but New York City's public transit system plans to keep the mask requirement in place. The CDC had extended the mandate until May 3rd due to rising cases from the Omicron subvariant BA2.
Are you going to like to appeal the ruling or the ruling that the judge made striking down the mandate?
I haven't spoken to the CDC yet.
The Justice Department is reviewing the ruling, and masks are still required aboard the president's plane, Air Force One. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
The Department of Education says students will have to keep wearing masks in the classroom through May 27th. One mom we spoke to isn't happy about this. She says children need the opportunity to start normalizing.
We're absolutely furious about it. Our children should have been the first ones to have mask optional, and instead they are the last citizens of the United States, still being forced to wear a mask 29 hours a week.
Experts have expressed concerns about students falling behind because of masks, especially in language skills.
Now, Russia has declared a new phase in the war on Ukraine. We're bringing in now Hawaii News Now's chief national political analyst, Greta Van Susteren. And Greta, what's the latest on the situation there?
Well, yes, they have a new phase because what they have leading up to the new phase is a relatively, I think, classified as a military failure by the Russian troops. Although they have done an incredible amount of devastation and slaughtered so many people, since February 24th, they have not been successful in overrunning Ukraine. They thought that would take like a matter of days. Well, the Ukrainians fought back pretty hard and didn't. So this new phase, which is basically Putin regrouping, is to focus on the eastern part of the country, sort of a boomerang-shaped area on eastern Ukraine, and that makes a narrower area to fight. It's also so it's not going to be quite as difficult for Russia. Plus, you've got the two separatist regions, Donetsk and Luhansk, and both those, and in the what's called the Donbass region. And there are a lot of Russian separatists there, people who are very friendly to the Russians. They grew up speaking Russian, and so a lot of them identify with Russia. So you have those people, and you also have the fact that they really do want a victory in terms of having Mariupol fall, the city which separates Russia from the Crimea Peninsula. And once they win that, they will have a land bridge to Crimea. So they're just sort of regrouping in recognition of the fact that so far their strategy has not worked, other than it has destroyed so much and killed so many.
Yeah, absolutely devastating over there. How is the U.S. and other nations responding to this?
Well, the U.S. has continued to supply weapons and money to Ukraine and humanitarian relief, but the focus this week has been more on sanctions. Canada is imposing sanctions on 14 people, including 2 adult daughters of Putin. The U.S. has already imposed those on Putin's daughters. New Zealand is putting sanctions on 14 financial entities. The European Commission is working on plans to create an embargo on Russian oil. That's been pretty much of a sort of a problem because, for instance, Germany gets more than a third of its oil from Russia. So now if you have an embargo on oil imports from Russia, that's going to hurt the German economy. So they're trying to figure out, how can they put an embargo on Russian oil imports for Europe and create a huge economic crisis for Putin without likewise really hurting the people in Germany and other parts of Western Europe.
Yeah, another development, the UN Secretary General is calling for a humanitarian pause in the fighting in Ukraine. What does that mean?
Well, this is the Orthodox Easter, and most Ukrainians and Russians celebrate the Orthodox Easter. And what he wants is a 3 or 4 day pause so that they can get more humanitarian aid in, that they can have these evacuation corridors, basically safe zones, so that people can exit Ukraine and go on to Poland or other destinations. So far, they haven't been able to do that. But look, I talk to people on the ground all the time who do humanitarian relief. The humanitarian aid, like medicine and food, just is not getting into Ukraine, especially into the eastern area, which is suffering the worst fighting. So, there's a lot of focus on, what missiles hit what buildings and how many people were killed, and that horrible video and dead bodies on the streets. And, it's breathtaking how bad it is. But the people who are trying to survive within are having a hard time because they're not getting food, they're not getting medicine, and they can't get out of there.
All right, Hawaii News Now's Chief National Political Analyst, Greta Van Susteren. Appreciate the time, Greta.
During a hearing in Idaho today, prosecutors in the Chad and Lori Daybell murder case made their arguments about bringing in a jury from another county rather than moving the trial entirely across the state. This according to the website East Idaho News. The Daybells are charged with multiple crimes, including first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The charges concerned the deaths of 7-year-old J.J. Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan. They are 2 of Lori's kids. The charges also concern Chad Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell. The trial is set to begin in January at the Ada County Courthouse in Boise and is expected to last up to 10 weeks. The number of people listed as potential witnesses in the case tops 100. The location of the trial was the entire focus of today's hearing. The judge said they would make a ruling on the matter at a later time.
Officials in Shanghai are pleading with residents to get on board with more mass testing to stop the spread of COVID. But people are fed up with the city's strict mandates after nearly 3 weeks of lockdown. David Culver has more.
Chinese officials vowing that all positive COVID-19 cases and close contacts will go to government-designated quarantine sites right here in Shanghai without exception. Now, the comments come as the community or societal spread of the virus is expected to end soon. That does not mean this is all over. In fact, it could be far from over. Instead, it means they aim for cases to only be detected inside the isolation facilities. As the lockdown for millions in China's financial hub continues, videos online show senior citizens in Shanghai, some in their 90s, being transferred to government-designated quarantine centers. One patient in a warehouse-turned-quarantine center told CNN that he saw a group of elderly patients, some in wheelchairs, being transported from a nursing home after they tested positive. There's also been an uproar over online videos that appear to show perfectly good vegetables donated to Shanghai being dumped. Now the government says the vegetables rotted during transportation and the donor recalled them. But the videos show workers dumping hundreds of boxes of vegetables into garbage cans, and in one video, you can actually hear a worker say, all of them are still fresh, and now they're dumped. It's such a pity. Meantime, getting food here, along with some of the medical care that folks need, it's been a real challenge. Many Shanghai residents have been experiencing food shortages and difficulties buying food during the weeks of lockdown. Social media videos and posts also show donations couldn't reach people's neighborhoods due to logistical obstacles. Meantime, Shanghai plans to launch another mass PCR testing to screen most of the residents here on Wednesday, and they're going to continue the daily testing for those living in buildings that have reported positive cases over the next 3 days or so. Outside of Shanghai, so far, at least 47 cities are under either a full or partial lockdown as authorities here in China try to curb the spread of Omicron. David Culver, CNN, Shanghai.
Thanks, David, for that update, and we'll keep updating you on that story right here at This Is Now. Want to take you live outside, looking over the city from our beautiful vantage point here on our downtown tower cam. Get you over to Guy Hoggy with some news of some winds of change in the works for our weather.
Now, those breezy traders, they're here. They've dropped anchor. They set up shop. They're not leaving anytime soon. They're going to run brisk and breezy for the remainder of the week into the early part of next week. So that means it's going to be quite comfortable. Air quality is not going to be an issue. And along the windward side, we'll have those white chops, white caps out in the ocean. So today, we're not going to see a whole lot of rain after the morning showers pass. We're going to have lots of sunshine in the afternoon. And then tomorrow, a few more clouds. And then a disturbance drops in with more clouds, more showers on Thursday and Friday, drying up just in time for the weekend. So get ready for some wet weather on the way soon.
Well, it is shaping up to be a challenging spring and summer travel season, to say the least. And now there's new calls for the federal government to do more to protect air passengers' rights. Here's Jolene Kent with more on that.
Travelers are gearing up for a chaotic summer in the skies and on the road. Expedia predicting this summer will be the busiest travel season ever. But the desire to escape is colliding with high fuel prices, staffing shortages, and cancellations nationwide.
We were at the airport for 10 hours.
According to the Department of Transportation, more than 110,000 flights were canceled last year alone, driven by weather, yes, but also not enough airline staff and crews. Now, Consumer Reports is calling on Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg to do more to protect passengers and establish a so-called Passenger Bill of Rights, clear, consistent rules uniformly applied to all airlines in the event of cancellations, delays, baggage problems, and getting bumped off a flight.
Taxpayers have given this industry more than $50 billion in bailouts. Secretary Buttigieg has the authority and has the pulpit to reach out to the airlines, find out what's going on with all these canceled flights.
Looking ahead, experts say brace yourself for packed planes and hotels and to pay higher prices. The average round-trip fare is now $360, already up about 50% since January.
Right now, you're at the mercy of the airlines themselves, and that's not a pretty picture.
Ahead of this busy summer, there are some things that you can do to reduce your stress. Book early, not just flights, but also home rentals and hotel rooms. We're seeing those go pretty fast. And also consider booking something refundable or reserving on points.
Another singer with Hawaii ties made her debut on the American Song Contest last night.
Respect is fine, we can. Expect return if we can. Correct and learn. Let's bring about change and show them their worth.
Part-time resident Tanel Luafalemana is representing American Samoa. Her soulful performance got a lot of praise from host Snoop Dogg and Kelly Clarkson. And ultimately, the jury ranked her 4th, which means she won't immediately go to the semifinals, but she can still win with a public vote. You can vote now at NBC.com, through the NBC app, or on TikTok through tomorrow. This week, the Merry Monarch Festival will welcome back a halau led by Kumu Hula Chinky Mahoy. The Oahu dancers won 1st place overall last year, and as Mahealani Richardson reports, they're looking for another win.
The Edith Kanakaole Stadium can seat as many as 6,000 people, but it won't be at full capacity for the competition. The Mahoy says the pressure is still high because the people that will be here know hula.
With careful and deliberate steps, the kane, or men of Kawai-Li'ula under Kumu Hula Chinky Mahoy, are getting ready for competition at the Merry Monarch Festival.
This audience that is going to be there understand hula. They're the families of the halaus.
This year, they'll be dancing to a traditional mele, or song about Lunalilo's journey to America, and Mahoy hints their performance will defy expectations.
The kauna to this mele is very different than what everybody has been doing. So that's all I go tell you.
All I hear is just my kumu chanting, and as I'm walking up the ramp, it completely, for me, like my physical being just completely washes away.
Last year, under strict COVID protocols with no audience to cheer them on, the renowned stage was quiet and surreal.
We get to go onto the stage and there's nobody there, and you see all of the judges that are just sitting there.
For their kahiko, or ancient dance, these men went on a journey to Kukaniloko, a sacred site on Oahu where royalty were born.
To have my kumu's vision with us as almost like a portal, he's using us to show to our kapunas and to everyone at home exactly what he envisions for the mele, and for us to be that channel.
Their awana, or modern dance, also left everyone with smiles.
The awana, I don't care. The awana, I just give them. So the awana is fun.
After waiting a week for the results to be broadcast on television,
We're at the 1st place award, Kane Owana, with 604 points, under the direction of Kumu Hula Chinky.
Kawai-Li'ula got top scores for Kane and won 1st place overall.
To hear your name called is always very exciting, and I think even more so because we really weren't expecting the I guess reception or the response that we got. We're just blown away.
The win felt so good, especially after the journey to get there.
We saw our performance and we're happy with it. We're proud of ourselves, what we accomplished.
Congratulations!
Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Thanks, Mahea. Getting really excited for that. Wanted to note, right now on our H&N digital platforms, our web team just wrote up a story, everything you need to know about the Merry Monarch schedule. Also, tomorrow, Sunrise, heading on the road for a special edition of Merry Monarch Sunrise.
I can't wait.
All right, let's see what else the internet is talking about. So take a look. What do you see here, guys? What do you see in this image? Any?
A person with a low bun.
Oh, that's interesting. Because, okay, take one more real quick look at this optical illusion. Because apparently, if you see an old man first, it means you are mature, calm, humble, and well-traveled. Yeah? This is a viral image all of a sudden, but I swear, this image has been around for a while. But if you see a young girl, Ashley, then you're a child at heart. And you haven't lost your innocence, of course. You still find joy in the simplest things. I did see, I'm just going to say I saw the young person first, but now I can totally see the old man. Like, the bun is his big nose.
For sure.
And his mustache.
But he has what's the young person's ear? Like, what is that?
Oh.
On the old man.
Wrinkles.
Okay. Sure.
maybe.
Sure. All right. I get it.
It's tricky. What'd you find?
So we're proud to reveal the finalists for the 2022 National Teacher of the Year. This outstanding educator is chosen by the nonprofit Council of Chief State School Officers. Now, this year's finalists include Colorado's Autumn Rivera, Hawaii's Whitney Aragaki, Ohio's Kurt Russell, and Pennsylvania's Joseph Welsh. And this year's Teacher of the Year is Kurt Russell, who's a history teacher at Oberlin High School. He's known for emphasizing cultural relevance and representation through classes like race, gender, and oppression.
Congrats.
Yeah, and congrats to Hawaii's Whitney Aragaki for being a finalist. That's awesome.
All right, and a lotto story, right?
Yeah,
Those are always interesting.
An Iowa man is celebrating a $1 million mistake. Now, Josh Buster bought 5 easy ticket plays for last Friday's Mega Millions lottery. However, the cashier accidentally only printed 1 play from the terminal, then offered to print out 4 additional plays on a different ticket. Now, Buster said that move probably changed the numbers he would have originally received, but it resulted in this huge win. So the 40-year-old chef says he'll likely pay off some bills and put a bunch away for retirement.
Never a winner over here in the seat.
Same.
Yeah.
I do pretty well on the scratchers, but never picking numbers and stuff.
Did you get any in Arizona?
No, I thought about it. We
It's
drove
always
past
fun.
a lot of gas
I know, and they have
stations,
those vending machines there at
Yeah.
the truck stops and gas
Oh, yeah.
stations. So, all right, guys, let's get to some good news now. You know, Boy Scouts known for merit badges, camping, all that stuff, but now they're getting into the business of saving the planet, specifically our ocean's corals. Here's Bradley Blackburn with more on that.
On an island in the Florida Keys, these tanks hold a new generation of corals just starting to grow.
So we're just transferring them so that we can clean their tank.
And these are some of the young scouts who are helping care for them.
Right now I'm checking the salinity of the water.
At the Boy Scouts of America's Sea Base, young men and women have been learning to scuba dive for decades, where they've seen up close how the colors and creatures in Florida's coral reefs are under serious threat.
It is dying, to be quite frank. And that's due to a number of factors, changes in water temp, quality, human interaction.
General Manager Mike Johnson thought scouts could be part of the solution. Using a technique called fragmentation, they cut corals into tiny pieces that regrow 50 times faster than they would in nature. The scouts then plant them underwater to rebuild the reef. This is what they can look like after 5 years.
So do you think there might be a coral restoration merit badge on the horizon?
I hope so.
Even without a badge, Scout Warren Vrone knows he's making a difference.
When I remember my biggest accomplishment in scouting, it would probably be the Sea Base program.
Since launching in 2018, the Sea Base Nursery has grown 10,000 corals and is part of a 2-decade project to restore millions of square feet of reef. 15-year-old Ryan Emmons says they're helping the sea and future scouts.
It's going to make an everlasting change and an everlasting benefit for future generations.
A scout service project for Mother Nature, building a brighter future under the sea. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Awesome. Thanks for that report.
Very cool project.
All right, guys, I have to say a big thank you to some folks out there. I've recently taken up my aspirations of becoming a figure rollerblader, and it didn't go so well yesterday. Yeah. I may be too old to rollerblade, at least without a helmet, because last night I took a little tumble trying to do a little axle and totally cracked my head open. Thank you, Kaiser nurses, for being so nice to me. Thanks to my friend Josh and his brother Daniel, who came and picked me up and took me to the urgent care.
I honestly can't believe you're here today and functioning.
I'm here. I don't know about functioning. I don't know if I can go through metal detectors later either, because I got some staples there.
Oh, gosh, John.
You guys, you have a good one. I will be back tomorrow. Ashley will be back.